Hearing initial reports from the scene, it was clear that this was an unjustified, malicious killing of 2 officers. I knew right away that I would be seeking the death penalty against their executioner. The decision to accept the plea wasn't made rashly or without a lot of thought. In fact, I'd previously refused the plea offer by the defense. I told them I'd only allow it if I was approached by the deputies' families and if they wanted it. And that's what ended up happening. We'd been in court one morning this spring arguing pretrial motions, and I'd gone to lunch with Elizabeth, ADA Cindy Adams, and Byron Police Detective Sergeant Melanie Bickford, Deputy Smallwood's fiance. Sitting around the table at American Philly and Wings, we discussed strategy for the case. During that discussion, Sergeant Bickford expressed concerns about whether the defendant would in fact get the death penalty. She said she was tired of him being treated like a celebrity, featured in news stories at each court hearing. Sergeant Bickford wanted to offer a plea deal for life without the possibility of parole. And she suspected others within the 2 families felt the same way. In the months since then, we met with the families multiple times. We wanted their decision to be an informed one that they wouldn't regret, and that they'd be comfortable with for years to come. As prosecutors, we know our primary burden is to carry the evidence that leads to a conviction, and in death penalty cases, a punishment. Well, our burden is a heavy one that we gladly accept. The victims' families carry the burden of grief every day. In my years as a prosecutor, I've seen how that burden grows even heavier as the months and years pass before a trial. It's not uncommon for the burden of grief to become so heavy that family members, particularly parents, die before getting justice. I still remember one of the first death penalty cases I worked on almost 20 years ago. The killer murdered his ex-wife's son and daughter. The weight of those children's deaths and the legal process bore down on their mother, and she died literally of a broken heart before the case was over. That's why when a mother tells me she doesn't think she can live through a trial, I listen. And when the majority of family members say that they agree, I know what must be done. I have an obligation to consider what I think those fallen deputies would say to me if they could speak to death. If they could hear their mother say, "Son, I don't think I can make it through this case alive." I know what they'd say, and you do too. They'd say, "Mom, I've got this." Let me take this burden from you. You don't have to do this because of me. It's important to point out the majority of the family's decision to ask me to accept life without parole was not made for the defendant's benefit. It was made for theirs. Likewise, my decision to honor the wishes of the majority of the family was based purely on what I realized was best for them and what I thought Patrick and Daryl would want for their family.